told me we lived on a ball, that the oceans could curve, kinda twisted a nerve. Thought it best to say nothing at all, till my ego confessed that the earth was at rest, 'cause the evidence led to the proof. And how come I see your sail, little boat, when you're meant to be over a hill? Now all of the dear little lambs that I love all appear to be mentally ill. What seems obvious to me, all my brothers just don't see. Yeah, how come I see your sail, little boat, if you're over a hill? Now all of the dear little lambs that I love all appear to be mentally ill. What seems obvious to me.
Fuck was I playing that? Okay. I don't know if I fucked that up there. Why am I getting this fucking buffering every time? If you're there, you just need to give me a wee second, because I don't know what's going on with this fucking thing. No, that's not what I asked for. Still buffering. It's awful funny that every time I go live I get this buffering, nothing opens up, everything takes an eternity to fucking... See, I don't even know if I'm on. I can see myself, but I see the chat box is moving, so I'm just going to assume that for everybody else this is working fine and that it's just my end. And now Google Gmail's not opening up. Is this streaming? All good this end, right, cool. Right, so again, you know, Steve Thorne there with the track, there'll be another one I'll play at the end of this. If anybody's interested in it, I'll give you the link. To that album that I've been playing over the last few weeks. Right, Gmail's still not opening up, so fuck knows what's going on. Anyhow, I'll just kind of get into this and see where it goes. They're texting me to tell me I'm working. Right, I just need to come away from that just now. So, how are we doing, people? The usual, I'll just give a wee brief short intro. I know people maybe come across this and they see flat level earth. It's, you know, the flat earth thing is only a label that was trending, a propaganda term that was attached to anybody who questioned the, you know, consensus model of, you know, the universe and the earth, that being, you know, heliocentrism, and that the earth's a globe. People like myself, you know, as I've said so many times, have been born into this belief, this teaching, and as an adult I had to address what these assumptions were and why I had these beliefs. And when I done that, I could no longer maintain the belief that I lived on the exterior of an oblate spheroid. The globular Earth is merely a concept. It does not exist as a three-dimensional object. It's not in the realms of physics, that being the tangible substance that can be demonstrated. It is purely linguistic based, and it is supported by usually sophistry, which is, you know, complex argumentation designed to sway the listener. So it's they utilise sophistry and imagery. Now, for me as an individual, as a human being, I cannot lend myself to the irrational, illogical notion that I should believe in what I see represented to me through a screen in 2 dimensions. I need more than that, particularly when claims are being made about the substances within my direct experience of reality that I cannot, test to confirm what these claims are stating. What I find is the total opposite. What I find is that it is what I experience, that I am on the level. There is no curvature to the earth. Standing bodies of water do not curve. The geometric applications being Euclidean in all practical walks and forms of life. You cannot be existing within a medium that is stated as a vacuum. There can be no such place. There is nowhere in the natural experience do you experience a vacuum. In physics, what do you require in order to achieve a vacuum? You require a containment. In physics, what do you require in order to achieve air pressure, gas pressure, any form of pressure? You need some sort of containment, particularly when we're talking about gas, air. The relationship between these two different reference frames, if you like, of a vacuum and a pressurised chamber require that there must remain a solid membrane between both, or else equilibrium will ensue. The claim is being made to you that this globular earth nonsense exists in a medium that is a vacuum, with no membrane between us and that other reference frame. Supported again by sophistry, ad hoc explanations, mathematical gibberish about non-entities that they call gravity. And again, I have to reiterate, nobody here, including myself, have ever denied that when you take an object from its position, it will come back towards the earth in a straight down fashion. Again, a separate issue, but it is used, it's another red herring from the globular cult that will try and utilise these examples of the way objects fall in order to explain to you why there's people opposite you standing upside down relative to your position, how bodies of water can bend round objects and conform to the exterior of shapes and objects, how you can exist within a vacuum with a pressurised gassy environment with no solid membrane between them. It's all gibberish, a religious teaching that is no place in physics, that being the physical real world of practical demonstration. As far as I'm concerned, it is a total and utter absurdity. So there's no point in you coming here and trying to attach propaganda labels or assumptions to people like myself. The burden of proof is not on me. The burden of proof lies with the claim that is contrary to my direct experience of reality. That should be the same for you. Understand the workings of your mind, understand what you lend yourself to in regards to your fallacious reasoning. The term science must be defined properly and what it is you're actually talking about. When we say a scientist, I don't mean some member of an institution that has been accredited with letters after their name. As a human being, you have the same constitution as every other human being. You have the same sense apparatus. A scientist, as the individual, the experiencer, does not belong to an authority or an institution. If you continue to lend yourself to that, you have no place within this discussion. I'm not interested in your illogical drivel, your fallacious reasoning, appealing to consensus, appealing to authority, any of that stuff. Dwell in the realms of physical reality. When you're making claims to me about physicality, you are duty bound to bring forth the practical references. If you cannot, I'm going to have to dismiss you. So, and again, I'm going to keep reiterating it. The burden of proof is on the extraordinary claim. Nobody, absolutely nobody, experiences the earth and standing bodies of water to have curvature upon them. None. Nobody. People are so enamoured by the image represented to them on a TV screen. If that was never an influence in your life, you would find it a lot easier to let go of your faulty belief structure. And make no bones about it, it is a belief system. I consider myself an ex-cult member. That's the situation I was born into. It's the situation you were probably born into. And again, your family unit, your education system never gave you the tools of discernment so that you had the opportunity to think and discern for yourself. Your education system, your family, your cult, your culture determined for you who you are, what the world was, what was expected of you. So, a brief introduction. I feel it necessary because of the continual propaganda that has been pumped out there in regards to people like myself. And any time that you try and engage in a discussion about these matters, you're having to wade through a never-ending amount of misrepresentations, lies, propaganda in general. Now what you have to ask yourself is if something is objectively true, it needs not to be defended. No propaganda is required. If it is objectively true, then it will stand up for itself. But yet, we have an ongoing onslaught of people battling and fighting against a ghost, fighting against a flat earth. There is no flat earth. The earth's demonstrably level. There's undulations, topography, high points and low points. They require you to adopt a straw man cartoon. The problem that you'll find is that you're going to have a comfort blanket, a replacement, because when you start to detach from the assumed belief, the assumption that you held, that being a globular earth, people have a tendency to look for a replacement. That's understood, which is why you have people who muddy the waters offering up concepts and models of a flat, level earth. You're not doing yourself any justice by lending attention to any of these things. It's an ongoing inquiry for the individual to make discernments and progress through their own experience to find what they find. I'm going to get a wee bit into this notion of idea and concept and how for me it is for the mentally ill. And in particular we have academia who continually pump out idea and concept in regards to our existence. These people are in the lockdown ward as far as I'm concerned. These people are the worst of the worst. Us, the common people, are on the periphery of the mental institution. But yet, the people on the periphery of the mental institution, the psych ward, are being influenced by the lockdown nutters. So, as I say, I'm going to talk a wee bit just about this, and then I'm open to anybody else coming in and having discussion. You need to send me an email to the above email address. Right. So, the micro to the macro. For me, I've contemplated a lot about what it means to exist, what it means to be a human being, and I have observed the world and what's going on, as I mentioned earlier there about academia. And for me, it's just trying to convey where I see it in my own mind and the predicament that we are in. So I'm going to take it from a position of we exist as material beings. I'm going to separate. I'm not going to invoke the discussion on the philosophy of mind and the relationship between mind and body right now. I'm just going to take it purely from a material position, because that's exactly what we experience right now. We experience physicality. We are occupying a physical body in space, and we're subject to interactions with other physical aspects. Okay? So when you start to, theorise or ask questions about that, for me a picture starts to become clear in regards to where we're at and what academia is up to. Hello everybody. I'll come to the chat box once I get through this, because it's just trying to convey where I'm coming from. So again, we're separating the whole discussion of mind-body philosophy and the connection there. And I'm going to talk purely from the experiential material aspect. And what we have is, we see in academia, we've got all this talk about quantum, where, they're continually pushing narratives of trying to discover what's at the micro level of the physical, right? So, and then they come up with notions of big bangs and, singularities and all this fucking gibberish. So if we look at that, if you think that you can get to, what gives rise to the physical, what is, how far in can we actually get to any aspect of physicality, there comes a point where you don't have access to that. There's only so far inward to the micro that you can get, and it gets beyond physicality. Now, academia are constantly trying to offer you up narratives of quantum this, that and the other, quantum entanglement, all this utter gibberish, flawed. Because here's the problem, if we look at some of the notions of, I'm talking about the entirety of our being and what it's encompassed by. So we've got a running mainstream story of a big bang, big expansion that comes from a singularity, and you'll hear phrases like it's an infinite density of this singularity, and it's absurd to say infinite in the same sentence as something that's defined with a set geometry or a set amount. It's absolutely preposterous, right? So we're left with a conundrum then. We can make an assumption that space, or what they call space, or three-dimensional space, is somehow infinite, and what goes on within it is just material interactions. But that's the narrative that's offered through mainstream. It's just material interactions and chemicals that we don't have an explanation for how they came about, right, or what gave rise to them, but they were just there, and then it meandered forward and it appeared to us, right? But the problem is where did all that stuff come from? If you're going to postulate that space, three-dimensional space, is somehow infinite, then how did the stuff within it come to be? Is this infinite space filled with something? Something that we can't experience that gives rise to the contents within it? What is going on here? Am I still streaming? It looks to me as if this is stoked. Wait, I go to my OBS. Wait, that's still saying it's running. Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to assume that it is still working. Right, so. You can look at the possibilities, right? So they'll say the Big Bang, it came for an infinite dense singularity which is defined. So it's not infinite then, it's finite, right? So they postulate that from this we've got this fucking expansion of space testicles, right? And stars and gas and dust and all this fucking stuff. You know, again, the absurdity of this, I don't want to keep getting into it. I want to talk more about the implications of some of these thoughts. No about gases coming together in vacuums, which is just preposterous, right? So what did they then propose? That before this, there was another one, which came from some singularity, right? But if you start to postulate stuff like this is the universe within this containment, then it leaves you with the same problem. What's outside it? There has to be something outside it. If you're going to postulate these kind of finite type notions, then you're always left with the same problem of what's going on outside, what's encompassing it. It's the same if you're looking at the micro. If you think that you can go in so far and then you're going to come to a place of no thing. It's the same with these finite models. Eventually you're going to have to come to some point of no thing, which, you know, philosophically, logically, they're just bankrupt. It's absolutely preposterous and absurd. There only is one option for me. There only is one option that makes any sort of sense, that you can apply logic or reasoning to, and that's that whatever gave rise to what we call experience and what we're experiencing right now has to be something infinite, right? Which means there was no beginning, there is no end. But what we experience is like an illusion or some sort of temporary illusion of finite, that being your experience within this certain area. So if you come to that conclusion and you understand that, then you start to realise, right, okay, so what is all this talk then about obsessively trying to zoom in the micro and coming up with all sorts of idiotic notions about what's going on? The problem is that you would never be able to get outside of your experience, ever, to know the whole thing. So then you have to ask the question of, well, why do we pursue that then? And for me, I see it as a deliberate tactic, because it halts and it stalls people. Once we get to this point of zooming in on shit and imagining what gave rise to it, this is where all the mental illness starts to happen. This is where the ideas and the concepts start to be spewed out. As I say, just like academia, coming out with all sorts of gibberish based on what the micro is, quantum this and whatever. It's a futile endeavour. So you have to ask the question of, why is it being perpetuated? For me, it's simple, because it stifles you. And it has people going round and round in circles with ideas and concepts, doing battle with each other about fantasy realms nonsense. No different from walking into a psychiatric ward and meeting people who have been described as, delusional schizophrenics, who imagine all sorts of stuff and then say it to be met by ridicule and laughter or pity. But yet we've got these people who are accredited, given rewards, held in high regard because they come up with all sorts of mental gymnastics. So you've got this going on at the micro level of somehow trying to get out with the realms of experience. The same would then have to be true for the macro. But if you're going to postulate that what we experience in physicality is somehow infinite, then you would never get to the end of that. You then have to ask the question of, what is it about the psychological state of human beings that they continually pursue these avenues? And for me, it's in that it comes under the realms of insecurity, fear-based. Because you're disorientated, blinded, do not know what's going on, don't know where you are. So we start to venture into these avenues, desperately seeking certainty. If you look at it within the experience, we've got all these religions, all these notions and ideas of what it means to be human, and how we transcend this. The purpose of this transcends to some other realm. But again, we're back to the same problem again. Whatever gave rise to this has to be something infinite. Now, if something's infinite, it means that you can't add anything away and you can't take it. You can't add it, you can't take anything away. So then, how do you encompass that knowing into an experiential thing that you think somehow transcends? That would denote that you think your experience here somehow affects or changes some aspect of the thing that gave rise to what you call physical experience, which is totally absurd. Because if you think that your life transcends this to change or alter the encompassing thing that gave rise to it, then that encompassing thing must be finite. There's you. You're within what you call experience and reality. But if you postulate that what's encompassing you is finite, then it has to exist within something. And you're back to this infinite regress again. Because something must always contain something else. You can never come to a point where there is no thing, nothing. So you've got people theorising and coming up with ideas and concepts and notions about what it means to be a human. And you've got people theorising and putting out concepts and ideas of what reality and what the universe is, all based on finite postulations. Now, if you're part of the infinite, as I said before, you can't add in, you can't take anything away. What does that then say about the experience you're having right now? Does it have a purpose that transcends? But a purpose that transcends again comes back to the thing that you would be altering some aspect of the infinite, which is an impossibility. It leaves you at the point of the only thing that you can have as an experience. Now, whether you want to talk about when you leave here, this is where we get into metaphysics of, mind-body connection and do you have a soul and yada yada. But right now I'm not talking about that, I'm just talking about us here, right now, in a physical realm. And what's going on here. Because as I say, being focused in on this micro, because remember the macro has been told to you that it's millions and billions and trillions of miles unattainable. You're never going to go and explore and experience these things. So instead they turn you inwards, trying to look at the micro, to come up with notions and ideas of what gave rise to the whole fucking thing. But it's futile. If you're within the experience and you want to zoom in, how are you ever going to get out with it to see it as a whole and know what gave rise to it? You would have to be removed from it. The only thing that we have access to is being within the experience and how much we can explore and find out about what it is we're experiencing. But at no point inwards or outwards would we ever reach a point where we could be out with the experience to know it as a whole. I hope that makes sense, because if you can understand that, you should start to let go of the insecurities, the fear-based drive of trying to grasp certainty, talking about in the bigger picture of existence. The only thing that you have access to is the experiential part, where you can progressively move forward outwardly, experiencing the physicality and what it has to offer. Maybe there'll come a point where you reach a limitation. Maybe there is a limitation. But if there is a limitation, that still denotes that out with that limitation must exist another environment. Because you can't postulate that out with exists no thing. So we're in some finite isolation, surrounded by no thing. What do you mean by that? Pragmatic quantum levels are essential for machines. I don't know what you mean by that. Well, it could be depressing, V. Thomas, for some people. You know, maybe that's why they come up with these stories. Because, you know, you have to realise that at some point there is going to be a limitation. Again, if you understand and you comprehend that limitation, the micro and the macro limitation, you should let go of it and experience what you can. As I've said before, look at the globular Earth model. The macro has been ruled out because of the faulty notion that you're on a delicate little potato rock with billions and trillions of miles between you and anything else. So you're never going to ever think to seek to go and explore at that level. But if there's access laterally to other experience, that's a good possibility. So I think the whole thing's fucking switched off now, is it? Absolutely no idea if I'm still on here or not. Doesn't look like it. Saying I'm live. I'm just going to halt right now. If this is still working, you're just going to have to be patient with me till I see what the fuck is going on here, because I'm totally blind. I don't know if I'm live, don't know if this is working, nothing's loading up. working fine. Right, okay. So, and this is where people start to go, and you get two kind of factions. You've got one faction that will start to postulate that the only thing that exists is material, and that, you know, consciousness, emotions, experience are all given rise to by material interactions, and that is the fundamental reality. But again, there's still a problem there. What gave rise to that? What gave rise to the matter? What defined it? What gave the geometry? What set it in motion? So there's still something encompassing it. And then you've got other people who think that it's mind-based, that what gives rise to physicality is a mind. People say God, whatever. But for me, there is absolutely no way for me to logically escape that what I'm experiencing and what I'm a part of right now is something infinite. It has to be, because if you go on any other avenue, you come to a point of finite, which ends up at a place of nothing. So you've got these idiots like Lawrence Krauss coming out with fucking gibberish, calling books something from nothing, but then trying to redefine nothing as something. Because there's no way that any rational, sane mind could ever seriously entertain the notion of nothing. So then you start to ask questions of that. And for me, you know, as times went on with age, experience, you start to let go of the insecure, fear-based need to have certainty and control. Because for me, that's what it's about. When I look at people who partake in, you know, adopting religions, concepts, ideas of, you know, the ideas and notions that transcend the physical and what they're a part of, it's totally preposterous. And these people are too blind to even see that. Even people who postulate that a God gave rise to this experience, but then in the very same breath they think that, you know, moral behaviour and, you know, what you do here somehow affects this encompassing infinity. But it's self-defeating, because if it's infinite, eternal, then you cannot add, you cannot take anything away. You can only experience what already is. Whether that be temporary experience within a physical three-dimensional reality like this, or some dream state where you shift from one sequence of events and scenarios to another. The only thing that you ever do is make discovery and experience. As soon as you try and add labels to meaning, I don't mean meaning relative to the experience, I mean meaning that transcends the experience, then for me you're on a faulty path, and you're still operating from fear, because you're trying to grasp and hold certainty. If you're part of the infinite and the eternal, you're never going to know the whole thing. And you have to ask the question, why would you want to? What are you going to do with that? And again, it's self-defeating. How would you know the entirety of existence and being when you are part of it? I keep pausing here because that's just doing my fucking that. Load, you bastard. If this doesn't load, I can't even see if anybody's emailed requesting to join. Well, the Gmail's going to work, is it? Lead me into a false sense of security. Looks as if it's working. So anyhow, for me, you start to see that it's a big fucking waste of time. All this stuff that's going on here within this area, the room that I would call it academia, all this supposed science, theorising from the micro to the macro about what existence is and where it came from is absolutely fucking preposterous and detrimental to your explorative experience. But it's became the norm. Mental illness has become the norm. As I say, you can go to university and get accolades for how fucking mentally retarded and disturbed you can become. Oh, getting somewhere. Seems to be working. I've already talked about valleys and hills, Huxley Pig. You're late to the fucking scenario. If you keep talking shit in the chat box, I've not really got any tolerance for fucking stupidity, son. So, it's up to you. You'll need to go and make another sock account up. If I see another idiotic fucking comment, I'm just going to block you. Because why would I fucking waste my time with your low level intellect? Elizabeth, you want to join? You maybe need to wait 45 minutes to fucking Google Hangouts opens up by the looks of it. So maybe what happened, you know, why did human beings become discontented with their experience, that they sought to seek out these ideas and concepts? Or did these ideas and concepts come about through some mass trauma that occurred? Or was it a tippy-toe thing that happened through a process of time? And again, when we look at something like time, when we experience this temporary notion of what we call time, usually referenced by night and day and the systems that we've created in order to keep tabs on that. But time in the bigger picture, if you understand and comprehend that what you're part of something infinite and eternal, there is no time. Right now you're experiencing this like segmentation of one thing to another. But then, in order to postulate time as something solid, you would have to have one point to another point where, it began and it ended, and you could use that as your life. But in the bigger picture again, that's not happening. As I say, for me, humans being bewildered, confused, anxious, in fear, that's the only time they would ever seek to adopt any of that stuff. As I say, look at your children. Do your children ever stop to second guess their experience? No, they don't. You never done it as a child. Only when blockers were put in your way, when traumas happened, when restrictions came about, when you started to experience the brunt of restrictive structures. What do you want? Wellington. Was you think a star or something? Huh? No, take it in. Give me a fresh one.
Okay. Are you looking at your comments?
No, I'm not looking at comments, no.
Yes, actually.
What?
This is High Beyond.
No, that's no comments.
Thanks for tea.
No worries. So as I say, check them out, you remember it yourself. The only thing you wanted to do, your constitution was to explore. You didn't want to feel restriction. You just wanted to explore the realm, the place that you were in, and continually progress and move forward through practical play and experience. When any scenario happens, children don't ask why, or look for transcendental meanings or any of that stuff. So you have to look at that and start to think, maybe it's a sign of, that there's something wrong with the psychological state. And as I say, it's been lauded and applauded in the realms of academia. So the more mentally ill you become, the greater the reward. That's what it seems to be to me. If we're going to ask for a meaning or look for a bigger picture of life and what it means to be part of a material realm, then surely that has to be done through the physical exploration. This sitting still and trying to zoom in on stuff and theorise about what's there and what gives rise to it and holds it together, it's not going to be in there. It's not going to be within this. Like, you pop into some other dimension that exists parallel to this and that's giving rise to that. It's a possibility. But as I say, you're never going to get there to that other dimension or whatever you postulate. You would have to be removed from this one. So then, what's the point? But again, they place relevance on this as if it's a worthwhile study for you to partake in this fucking mental delusional rubbish. If you want to seek out the bigger picture of what you're a part of in regards to physical experience, then it's outwardly done. If you want to explore subjectivity and what it means to be you and whatever else, then that's an inward journey. But again, for me, that's very restricting. You can only get so far because there's missing aspects here. You don't have a memory, you don't have the rule book, there is no objective chronological teaching. It's just our stories, which again for me you should be highly suspicious of. And again, maybe it's a necessity that we are limited to whatever experience, whether it be in this world, another world, or whatever goes on beyond this. Limitation is probably a necessity to keep you confined within the experiential aspect. Because as I say, would you really want to discover? And how would you cope with knowing all there is to know? What the fuck are you going to do with that? Probably fragment yourself, go inward and fragment yourself and constantly hide from yourself because you would be bored to fucking tears. So again, when you look at children, remember it yourself. All you gave a fuck about was the thrill of the experience. Right. This is opened up now, so. Or has it? It's getting right in my fucking nipples, this. Still going round and round. Just need to be a wee second here. And here within this experience you can make it whatever you like. Yeah. As I say, and whatever it becomes, the next generations are going to be subject to that. And if you start to tell these new generations that this is it, this is the way life is, they're going to adopt that, and nothing's ever going to change. They're going to be limited to the choices that's offered to them. If this is just a realm of experience, then we can pursue it in any way we want to fucking play it. You don't have to be subject to other people's expectations or ideas of what it is that you should be up to or what life is. Why would you lend your attention to any of that stuff? Why would you hand your authority over to fucking some other external being? Again, symptoms of the fucking mental illness. Maybe this earth, this place that we're in, has a physical barrier, a physical limitation. Maybe, you know, it was discovered before and, you know, all out fucking chaos ensued or whatever. As I said before, there could be so many possibilities here to what's going on. But again, I don't want any substitutes. I want to actually figure out and find out what it is, and if there is any physical limitation. But to continually pursue these idiotic notions of, you know, this experience transcends the experience to, you know, dictate what's going to happen to you in the next place or whatever is absolutely preposterous. And again, I'll speak to the religious people of the worlds. When you talk about their gods and their infinite eternal gods, but yet he's created this temporal fucking experience for you that you've to learn something or you've to behave in this certain manner. Why? What's the fucking point of that? Because any possibility, any choice that you make, any discovery that you make already existed. So therefore it wouldn't be your responsibility that you would have to pay a price for whatever you get up to. Right, it seems that we're back here. Seems to be working okay now. Right, where's that? Right, link is just about to be sent. To Elizabeth. Apparently there's a rave happening in the scheme somewhere. Dale doesn't go anywhere but he's out, not got control of the kick button, he's a coward. Is that right, Huxley Pig? See, the thing is, Huxley Pig is, there's many times I've displayed that I'll go to universities. I'll go out into the street, I'll speak to anybody, invite anybody to come and speak to me in person. Yeah, here you are telling barefaced fucking lies, because you have to. You're so intimidated and in fear of people like me that you have to make up bullshit in order to make yourself feel better, because you're just not capable of reaching this level. You're quite pathetic and sad. No, it's Steve Thorne. The guy's called Steve Thorne. He's no Scottish, he's one of them. There never was a flat earth infinite Lottie society. You're another one of these absolute delusional, delirious cretins that has been chasing and battling a ghost for nearly 6 years now. I mean, do you not see how absolutely absurd you are? People like you, you've joined a chase, a hunt of a flat earth, a ghost, a non-entity that you've decided was a real thing and that people represent, and then with your idiotic conceptual notion, you have went and tried to battle with that like a complete and utter bellend. You're so fucked up that you're beyond repair. I suggest you join academia and start looking for the fourth dimension. Hear it all the time with these absolute gimps. We need to battle, we need to fight the flat earth, we need to fight. What fucking flat earth? What are you talking about? This is how enamoured they are with propaganda. They don't even realise it. And then they're blinkered, they've got these blinkers on of this propaganda, and they just see everybody through these fucking filtered specs. Running about chanting and shouting about their own delusions. Well, sane, rational people are just looking at them like, what the fuck is the matter with you? Quite a shambles these cult lunatics are in. Really, really fucking sad state of mind to be in. So getting back to that, as I was saying earlier, so you get people who would go with the notion that it's mind that gives rise to everything. So that means that, what encompasses material experience is some invisible, metaphysical thing, again, that you and I would never have access to because we are within the confinement of physicality. But we can theorise on it based on the metaphysical things that we experience, like thought, emotion, dreaming. But again, trying to pursue a definite, understanding of what that would be is another sign that, you're insecure. And that pursuit would be futile as far as I'm concerned. For me, I think we need to stop that. For me, we should just be playing and having fun with the experience and educating newcomers to not take it so fucking seriously, to just play and have fun and help them to identify where subjective ideology comes into it, and if they continue to lend their attention to it, it's going to be detrimental to them. Now what we have is human beings who don't have that kind of compass, the ability to discern, and these ideas and concepts are being bombarded at them, and they end up selecting or choosing one of these things, and it's like implanting a virus within your own mind, willfully, and then deluding yourself into thinking that it's a worthwhile pursuit, because you don't even see that you're operating from a place of insecurity and fear. If I had my way, ideology would never be allowed to be spewed through this fucking stuff. I would want to encourage the children to play, experience, play with the toys of the room, see how far you can go, what can you create, and that's about it. It's a canvas for you to paint whatever the fuck you like, and it doesn't matter if you have the will and desire to paint a canvas of taking over a fucking country, formulating a fucking army to help you to achieve that. Doesn't matter. And I know that's hard for people, because to some people's experience there's a lot of unjust going on. But again, it's lack of education in their relationship to what they think they're experiencing. People need to lighten up a wee bit. just a ride, man. As a wise man once said, and you can make choices. You can make choices from fear, or you can make choices from love. I don't mean love as a needy, clingy fucking relationship pish. That's not what I mean. What? This channel has been spoofing me in the chat tonight. I'm still waiting on Elizabeth that requested the link. So I've got a mimicking Beyond the Imaginary Curve channel. It's these wee fucking gimps. Let them go on, mate. As I say, it's their fucking issue, it's no mine. I couldn't give a fuck. Could not give a rat's ass. The thing is just to fucking laugh at them. They'll continually display their fucking dysfunctional, idiotic mental state. So as I say, you see it, look at what's going on right now. You've got these systems in place where it's all about external authority and, you know, people partaking in other people's ideas and concepts, whether it be political, religious, you know, societal, family related. They're all things that you've adopted and created a relationship with, and you're the one that's placed relevance and importance upon all these things. Now at any given time you can remove your relevance or importance of these things. You can put your attention to whatever you fucking like. This is doing my fucking tits in. Hey, fuck it. I'm still waiting on Elizabeth, but I think the chat's working, so I'm just going to interact with the chat for a wee while and see what goes from there. The scamdemic. I'm going to make a wee video on Monday in regards to that. You might enjoy it. I'll be recalling some past character to help me. Well, this is it. You know, look at the political structure. It's all based on ideas and concepts. But you don't see, you know, these people lending their attention to that to go and fucking harass these people. Or people that believe in Santa Claus. Or people that believe in all sorts of manners of fucking rubbish. There's people out there that believe in multiverses and fucking big bangs. Sausage expansions. Like I drew earlier. Like it's one sausage that dies and goes into another one and then grows another sausage, and maybe I'll be Robert, can I say? Cannot say. That's the thing, Rick, is Vaticus. It's for me, what can you actually know? When you ask yourself that question, what does it mean to say that I want to know something? I can only experience things, and then I can tell myself and relate to these things in whatever way I decide. And a lot of the time that's dependent upon your culture and your family upbringing. And people don't even realise that they've created these associations. So it's a constant, you know, analysing yourself to see the power that the mind actually has, the power that you have. Because at the end of the day, it always lies at your feet. You're responsible for where your attention goes. You're responsible for what stories you tell yourself in regards to any experience that you have. I think the chat box just fucking stopped me as well. Terence McKenna, Leanne, I know who Terence McKenna is. Psychonaut. Let's take drugs and we'll access another dimension. Again, taking these drugs, the only thing that you can take from it is that it's an altered experience. It's a different experience that you have from day to day. But again, it's all in the realms of experience. The problem is when you have people who try and tell you that there's a relevance to the experiences and that those experiences mean something. That's where I've always had the issue with this type of thing. People that try and act like gurus, like they comprehend these experiences and these experiences are conveyed to the masses as meaningful. Oh, we'll access another dimension and... And again, you know, why would you take these things to go looking for certainty? It comes back to that state that you're in again. If you're looking for certainty in regards to the ultimate picture of what you're a part of here, then you're in fear and insecurity. Because if you comprehend that it's infinite, eternal, why are you trying to hone it down to have certainty on it? You know, so these people that talk about the soul and that, you know, when you leave this life you maybe have another life and yada yada yada. If that's going to be the case, you know, why do you want to maintain a memory of what you were here and what you experienced here? A lot of that's just part of the false ego, the persona that you've created for yourself, right? That you've told yourself you are. Because again, in any experience, the only thing that you're certain of is that you're the experiencer. You can't say you're this person or that person. Thank you. And as I say, in a dream state or a waking state, you have experiences. And that's the similarity between the two. You're always the experiencer. But again, in this state, human beings are constantly trying to attach meaning rather than just taking the ride for what it has, what it offers you, and that's it. And if you have a soul and you've got an eternal soul or whatever, then you move on to another experience. And I guarantee you, you know, if you have a soul, it'd be wise enough to know that it doesn't have to try and hold the memory of that previous experience, because it's not going to relate to the next one that you have. All this stuff that's going on in the academic world, for me, it's just draining energy. It's just keeping people going round in circles, chasing their tail and patting them on the back and rewarding them. Oh, that's a good story. I like that, right? Go and tell the masses it now. Get them going round in circles for fucking 10 years. And then based on that story, we'll pump money and resources into fucking pursuing, trying to make it certain. Exactly, beyond belief. As I say, I speak to these people. I've partaken in psychedelics, and at a time in my younger days when I was desperate for certainty, I was always looking at these experiences to see if I could take anything for them. And I'm yet to hear from anybody that can offer any sort of objective aspect to what we're a part of here and what the true nature of this being actually is, how it came to be, where it actually is, what encompasses it, what gave rise to it. None of these answers are ever forthcoming from any of these experiences. So say there's useful aspects for internal subjective realisation, and it can be used for therapeutically to help you in that regard, to deal with some of the baggage that you may have taken on board through trauma, previous life experience, whatever it may be. Your state that you're in right now, these things can help for that, I don't deny that. But what I deny is these people, these fucking dipshit gurus that start trying to come at you, telling you fucking stories about wee elves and shite that they think really exist. As I say, when you look at that, you look at these people and it all just screams at you mental illness. Human beings are in a state of fear, and based on that position, they're going to be clambering for any semblance of security and certainty. And then that's when the charlatans can step in. I'll give you certainty. Here, what about this certainty? You don't like that? Well, there's another one. Don't like that? Here's another one, and I can get through a plethora of concepts and ideas, and I can get the majority to pick one of them, because they'll find some way of accepting that makes them feel good, so that they don't have to think any further. But it bothers me, always bothers me, and I'm sure people can relate to it. As a child, all you wanted to do was to explore yourself and explore your environment with no fucking restrictions. And then you're met by structure, and the structure is usually restrictive. So it starts to push you into this avenue of contemplating your experience, because you're not allowed to just flow. If I could anthropomorphise a river, you know, and that, you know, a river or a section of a river is you as a child, then you're just going to go with that flow until you come up against a dam, a construct that's been put there to divert you. And then because of that, not having the ability to flow anymore, you're going to have to turn in yourself and start thinking about what's going on, because you're being prodded and poked. But it's lauded and it's offered to you that it's some sort of achievement to be some academic fucktard that can waffle on for hours and hours and hours about conceptual fucking gibberish, while they sit there with a smug appearance of certainty. It's all getting worse, Rick, as well, isn't it? I mean, it's everywhere. The restrictive aspect of dominance and control is rife everywhere. And for me, it's so simple. I just wish other human beings would have the ability to realise it. There's no need for you to exercise your dominance and control over anything. Again, it just comes from a fear state, insecure, a need to control and dominate because you feel somehow inferior based on whatever the fuck happened to you. I don't know. Elizabeth, if you're still there, whoever you are, I'm just going to send you another link in case that wasn't working. Remember, you can phone me if you want, or text message me. And again, I need to reiterate this to people. If you don't get me while I'm here sitting at this, right, you've got something to offer or something to say to me, and you're sending me emails and whatever else while I'm not here, the chances are I'm never going to see the email. Because there's just a never-ending barrage of stuff that comes through my emails. I'm getting stuff for fucking First Christian Ministries and all sorts of stuff. I don't know why that's happening. And I'm not the type of guy that enjoys sitting going through emails every day. What's that, Tony Woodcombe? It's not just about the globe, it's fragmented through all different layers of your experience right down to the family unit. How many people were born into a family unit where it had this hierarchy, this structure, and things were dictated to you? It's been happening your whole life. When people talk about the powers that be, the whatever, blah blah blah, look closer to home. You're probably partaking in it yourself. You don't even fucking realise it. The way this YouTube stuff's gone, I don't think that people like myself are going to be about much longer, to be honest with you. I can see it coming. I'm also hearing, you know, some of the rhetoric, some of the propaganda. One of the things that caught my attention was some Chinese guy who's apparently escaped from China, and he's been wheeled out in American TV to say how oppressive China is and this, that and the other. I'm beginning to think they're gearing that up. Same with all this protesting going on. People don't realise what can be implemented in regards to mass protests. Once that situation starts to happen, they can start to usurp rights and implement whatever the fuck they like based on what they'll call disorder, chaos, and they continually misuse the term anarchy. These anarchists. First and foremost, anarchy is a state of mind. That's my relationship to it. So regardless of the circumstances I find myself within, I'm never going to be oppressed here. You've got all this talk about defunding the police and this argumentation that's going on. A lot of the stuff that I see should be defunded. The police should be defunded to the point of they should be there to uphold and implement purely common law, which means they're meant to be there to investigate proper crime. But that's not what they're up to now. They're being utilised and mobilised to control through manipulative means using subjective triggers. You don't see intellect, rationale, physical stature within things like the police force now. You see degenerate, illogical, irrational, emotionally impulsive, dysfunctional fuckwits with chips in their shoulder, running about trying to find wee grannies for dropping a piece of paper on the street or because I dug shat on a piece of grass. I mean, how fucking dare they? How dare you perform a natural fucking duty? So in things like that, in that regard, I'm for it. Defund these fucking corrupt motherfuckers. But as I said before, all this stuff that's going on, and you've got this QAnon shite going on, and Trump's this, that and the other, and he's... What did I say before? People are starting to realise the level of the corruption that they're a part of here, and they're starting to get disgruntled about it. So as I referenced it using the analogy of your farmyard animals, they're starting to realise that there's a perimeter around them They're starting to realise that they're being fattened up for the fucking slaughter. They're no liking it. And some of the farm workers are abusing them. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to give them apparent justice. Give the farm workers a smack in the bum and make sure the animals can see it. So that the animals think, yay, get it up, ye, justice. But the whole fucking game is just to settle the cattle back down again. Just to readjust them into a more comfortable pen. With some nice fluffy pillows and new trinkets and toys to keep them occupied. And that's exactly what's happening right fucking now. Alright Gav, I didn't think you would be about this evening. Police, military, defund them all. Get them involved in things that are fucking useful and prosperous for us. That alleviate stresses. Police should be investigating fucking crimes. But in an ideal situation you wouldn't even need them there. Because what are most crimes based upon? A lack. So why are people lacking in anything? The resources are there. Why do they need anything? Military should be problem solvers. No fucking going out and killing other people because of fucking corrupt dipshits and their fucking wee agendas. Fight the fat tits can go and debate fucking low-hanging fruit all he likes. These people are fucking reprobates. Degenerate fuckwits. People that fight the fat tits and the people that partake in these fucking debate shows. It's all a pissing contest. They all want to prove to the world something. Absolute fucking mongs. Fuck them. Couldn't give a fuck. Fight the fat tits came here before and get slapped back into touch again. Same as the rest of them. Right, I'm running out of shit to say now. No requests. Elizabeth never showed up. And you've got to say in the chat box. Dean, if you want to see a debate away, you go and see a debate. Objective reality is not up for debate, sir. I'm not here fucking offering up fucking ideas and concepts. I'm a realist. I just take physical reality for what it is. If you think it can be debated better in, that's like saying there's a debate and whether or not if I dropped, 1,000-ton fucking slab on you that you were going to be a fucking mince patty or whether you would survive it. I mean, don't be so fucking stupid. People can debate about what they think gives rise to physical experience and material matter. We can debate about all that because that's in the realms of metaphysics. You're never going to get there. So away you go and fucking debate all that absurd shite if you want. Hello. assuming that it's Elizabeth that's arrived. Can you hear me?
This shit working or what?
Doesn't sound like an Elizabeth to me. Hello? I bet it's because you can only see my icon.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
For fuck's sake. Can you hear me, Dad?
I can hear you alright.
One second. There's a bit of a delay.
Don't
I sent it to my missus's account. When you were saying this, I didn't realise you were waiting for me. But,
don't listen to
I
me.
don't know if you can hear me, man.
Don't listen to me on YouTube, whatever you do, because you shouldn't be listening to me on YouTube. You need to switch YouTube off if you're in here.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's gone. It's gone. Tech issues, usual. Now I'm back to nothing's loading up again. Saying everything's disconnected, chat's disconnected, fucking buffering on my screen. OBS, what are you saying? That's still saying it's running. I can see fuck all. Hey, fuck this. I'm getting fucking annoyed now. No, it's back. Still buffering on screen, but the chat box is back. Let me try this. I'll open one up and I'm going to post it directly into the chat box. Once it fucking loads. Good, so it's still working. Aye, the phone was working fine this afternoon, that's right. Hello? Who's this? What's that?
There's a rally up at Trafalgar Square.
Aye,
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I think I first picked you up years ago when you were up with another gent and he did some sort of antics outside. I kind of pop in and out and it's good to see you still there. I like your logic and I don't think anyone's actually come on to debate you, have they?
Well,
Over the years?
we had people in the earlier years that, you know, they were coming on and because I keep saying it's not a debate, we can only discuss matters of objectivity, but it's the usual, you know, they've got to come and attach straw man cartoons to you and ask you to defend some ghost. So I've had them on before, but it's never yielded any positive results, you know, not for them anyway. But
It's they're meeting up at Trafalgar, and I just went up there to really have a look, and hats off to people who got there, but
So would
I came away really disappointed. I don't know.
so what I was going to ask is, what do you think is going to come of that?
I don't know, Joe. I mean, I like you. I mean, I've got some years on you, but I've kind of been against it for so long, and to be honest, I'm quite exhausted by all this shit now, and
Yeah.
I was just hoping for something. I don't know, a vibe, something.
Yeah.
Something. That's all. And yeah, but they had a helicopter low over the monument, so it was difficult to hear. People were showing up in colours and stuff, but it was nice to see faces.
So it was a social gathering. It was a social gathering then.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I've been trying not to wear a muzzle, and I mean, I'm now totally isolated. I'm now in a van. I've got children, grandchildren, and everything's really. I don't know. Every day is a fucking nightmare, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I didn't want to. I was thinking I'd try the trains, but I don't want to wear this thing, and so I thought I'd just take my motorbike.
Aye, good.
It was great. It was really good. It was absolutely bliss. I parked off, I think it's called Northumberland Avenue, just off, and I forgot to bring my change, but it was close anyway. But no, it was really good. It was a really good ride up, and but I know it's depressing, though. It's depressing.
Yeah.
I'm depressed.
You got all these people protesting for a hierarchical structure that they just want the people removed and then replace it with what? You're just going to have human beings operating on the hierarchy yet again. It's always the same problem. You need human beings to be at a stable point of their mind where they're discerning, logical, rational, and able to analyse things clearly. But they're just not in that state. They're just being herded into these emotional fucking impulsive positions. And I always ask the question, what are you going to achieve with that? Where is it that's going to go? Because for me, it's like it's designed that way. This is what they're encouraging. They want this happening. Yeah.
Well, without getting, I know where you come from, and very direct. And as I say, I agree with experiences. Really, that's how we learn. But I do think, as I say, I've got probably some more years on you, but I do believe that we've been set up.
Yeah.
And I spent 2/3 of my life not feeling comfortable, and the last third really feeling uncomfortable. And and now I'm a little bit of a loss because I've got problems because of my youngsters and basically everyone else. And sometimes I wake up and think I'm a lunatic.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds, bud. Sorry, 2 seconds. Boys, I can't hear myself thinking, Xander. Yeah. Sorry about that, mate.
So that's good. It's how it should be. It's how it should be. And I get. It's a shame. It's a shame you couldn't put your unique talents, man, into I don't know, get them out there some way, because I have to try and trying to I don't know, just to test the waters with people, but I'm just so worried because they just seem to. I do feel like I'm the one that's wrong sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
Because why can't people see the shit that's going on everywhere? I mean, you don't have to be, you don't have to have an A-level really to appreciate.
No, that's one of the things for. That's one of the things for me. It's so important to keep yourself balanced. You have to just cater for the simple things in life. Spend time with yourself. Spend time with the kids, the family, the dog. Just do some of the simple things of life. Just have the experience, the joy. Rather than lending your attention to all this external stuff, because the majority it's out with your direct experience. And I know that some of it, it affects, each individual's life, but if you constantly, put your attention to it and get wrapped up in it, then it's just going to eat you up, because, you're trying to, I don't know, have your influence over the whole. Again, for me, it goes back to the insecurity. Why do we even have these structures? If we're going to have government...
Yeah. And this is why I think that unfortunately we are in some sort of system, pre-designed system.
Yeah.
And as you were saying earlier on, I think you mentioned an analogy about the river, for a child, and you're flowing in the river. And there's the dam, I mean, it's a good analogy, but I mean, that's what they do. I mean, basically, from when we're born, the natural rug is taken away, isn't it?
Yeah. Superficial structures are then imposed,
Well, I actually got quite excited when the internet first came out, because I used to be in computers in an earlier time, and I really got excited because, to me at the time, I saw computers as a really good tool for learning, sharing information. I could see that. I think that was originally what it was designed for, but
it's always the same, innit? That's what I say. I was saying it again when I was chatting with Marty the other day, and I said it again this evening. These things that we have could be very useful if we based it on objective information, rather than allowing subjectivity and ideology to fucking influence,
Well, I know. I mean, that's what we do to everything that's good, don't we? We screw it up, we turn it upside down. I'm totally there. But if you think about it, if we could get to knowledge, which is what we want, isn't it? It's what the only answer that we have now is to basically knock into the Vatican archives or wherever and see what's there.
Exactly.
I know, on the life of my children and my grandchildren, that people know a lot more about where we are and what's happened before, and they have that. And when you have all these people coming out now, and they're trying to put out hope through Trump or Q. Have you checked out? I got into the guy because I spent some time in New Zealand, and I got hooked into this whole thing. Have you heard about King John III?
King John Gregory Hallett. Another saviour. Well, hey, we've got another fucking saviour in the mix, you beauty.
Well, have you checked out Charlie Ward?
No.
Yeah.
No, I've not checked that out, no.
Well, no, because he's kind of promoting all this stuff, and but check him out, because what's happening in his channel and what he's putting out, you need to go in there and tackle him, man.
Right.
Listen, you've got it. You've got it. What you can't do is go in there and swear.
All right.
He's an Englishman living in Spain. He's got connections, and he's got an office in, I don't know, he's moved it recently or something, but go in there and
So, can you send me an email link to the channel that you're talking about?
yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely do that. Yeah. Charlie Ward, anyway. But I will definitely send you the link. And but what's happening on that channel, man, is it's weird. Okay, there's something happening there. I've been monitoring that, as I say, because I picked up on. I won't go into it, but I don't know. It's, we need to bite into the ankles of these things.
Yeah.
You know.
Or remove your attention and let them all eat each other.
Well, it's common sense is what we're missing, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, the demonstrations, well, the rally, well, it was a demonstration against the stupidity, the ridiculous stupidity that's going on.
Yeah.
I think it's insidious, but nevertheless, I was talking to a couple of young guys, and one was, you know, he's thinking of doing home tutoring and very nervous, 2-year-old and all that sort of stuff. And the other guy was a guitarist and, you know, just a little bit laid back, but the young guys, and I just said to them, you know, for goodness sake, grow some balls, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stand up.
It's just
Stand up.
Exactly. I mean, what are they protesting for? Get government to fuck. Government should only be there to fucking represent the freedoms and make sure the infrastructure works properly. No push agendas in matters of subjectivity. You know, get into the fucking Vatican, ransack the fucking place and find out what the fuck's under there. Do you know what I mean? All this fucking stoning about, congregating with each other, begging the masters to do this and do that. It's absolutely fucking pathetic as far as I'm concerned. Totally
No, I'm totally there. I think I resonated with you. I think when you just came down and said, "Well, how can you think beyond anything? You have to have a starting point, and that starting point is where the fuck are we?" Yeah.
Exactly.
And my father gave me the wink. My father was a geologist, and he gave me the wink. I can't remember which country we were in at the time. I was going back forward to boarding school and popping out to all these different countries, but he gave me the wink at the time. I mean, my father. So I was already there. I think, you know, a long time. And but yeah, I mean, I never got into anything else. But we're not, as you say, in a beautiful way, we're not a spinning testicle.
Exactly.
Slightly tilted. It's just, you know, I think you've done this probably to a lot of people, but just hearing people like yourself coming out with things like that, it just resonates and it's kept me alive. I mean, Max Egan said something as well. He said to me, I realised when I was about 4 that something was wrong.
Exactly.
And I can remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Exactly, mate. Why are we not allowed to flow like the river? There's blockers.
We've all got it in us, I think, you know, it's all there. And I think, as you say, you know, we get diverted and we get spun around and we hit that dam and we're not doing naturally with the flow. And,
exactly.
You know, we're not born to hate and kill.
No.
It's just crazy, man.
I know it. I know.
Anyway, I'll put some time, but good
Listen,
to have a chat.
Listen,
really appreciate what you're doing.
I think I found that channel as you get videos like Heaven on Earth is Here Now, Laura Bowley chats with Charlie Ward, Mark Atwood. Does that sound the Hidden King question and answer with Dave Mahoney? Is this chat?
It. I think they're doing one tonight at 11 or something, or was it? But they're actually turning people need to go in there and start asking them some serious questions,
right.
And no one is. They
right.
all seem to be getting a variety of people coming in, and they're all placating or just again going round and round and round, fishing in, and actually saying, well, what about these connections and these dots, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think it's good, and and I say you're unchallenged. To me, you're a Scottish Muhammad Ali, man. No one's dared to approach you. I don't know whether because they're scared, but I don't think man, because
Well, there's fuck out. There's fuck out.
no, you've got it. You've zipped it up. You and Gavin, and
Yeah.
you've got it zipped, man.
That's it.
It's really good to hear. Really good.
Nice one. Well, cheers for phoning, bud.
All right.
All right, my man.
All the best. All the best for sailing.
Right, Matt, this is just ground to a halt. None of these pages are opening up. I've got no idea whether I'm on or if I'm not on. Fucking hell, man. Right, I've got the chat box back with the looks of it. Chat box isn't moving. Couldn't start video or whatever. Something's not right. You're right, something's not right. Not just with this PC. Oh, the chat box is moving again. Ike's a good guy. The problem I have with all these people, Mr. Golden V, is that fair enough, there's aspects that they focus on, and I could sit and focus on, you know, individual aspects and, you know, extrapolate on certain things of what's happening within the life that we're having right now and yada yada, but the whole thing's encompassed by the fact that it's all rooted in the fact that human beings don't know where they are. Human beings do not know where the fuck they are or why they're here. They're being offered ideas and concepts of what it means to be human, where they are, what's expected. I've said all this so many times, and they're adopting these things, putting their attention to it and running with it. Now the signs are there for them that something is seriously wrong with what they're putting their attention to. And you've got these people who, for whatever reason, don't have the ability. I mean, they act like they're contemplators, they're thinkers, but they can't get to this root to see that, alright, here's the root of the fucking problem. And you'll get these people coming and saying, oh, there's more important stuff than where we are in the shape of the earth, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, the dysfunction is all related to that fact. You know, like any game, if I tell you the fucking checkers board is a tennis court and that you have to play basketball on it, you're going to be fucking confused. And what's going on right now is just that. Right, it's back to being fucked again. Ugh. Right, I'm going to get to fuck people because this is fucking grating on me now. Nothing is working. I'm just getting a buffer. The chat box is now saying chat disconnected. What's the fucking point? Take it easy.